This conference will now be
Okay,
recorded.
it is started now. Okay, so currently this is building, and let me open the OneNote as well. Okay, so we need to discuss cascade restricted. That is where we are waiting for. 1 second, let the build finish. In the meantime, let's do one thing. In the tables, we have seen feed groups, indexes, full text indexes, relations, delete actions. Okay. Okay. We have state machines, mappings, methods, events. Okay. So see here, state machine. State machine is entirely new concept in Dynamics 365. Okay. So first of all, we need to know what is a state machine. Let's see that. See here, I don't want to again show some diagram, and I don't want to say I have created it, which is why I'm opening Google directly. Okay, I will simply type state machine. Okay, and here I'll go to images. Now you can see there will be hundreds of images which will open for a state machine. So what is a state machine? A state machine is a system with few possible states and then a transition between them. Okay, and coming to the state machine, these are divided into two different types. One is called finite state machine, and the second one is called infinite state machine. Okay, one is called finite state machine, and the other one is called infinite state machine. So what is finite state machine? A finite state machine has one initial state, one final state. From initial state, it can go only to final state. From final state, again, it cannot get back to the initial state. That means it is not cyclic in nature. Okay, a finite state machine is not cyclic in nature. Whereas coming to the infinite state machine, it's cyclic in nature. Okay, from the final state, if you have transition to the infinite state, sorry, initial state. Okay, from the finite state, from the final state, if you have transition to the initial state, that will become the infinite state machine. Okay, for example, let me show you. Here you can see this is one of the finite state machine. How many states are there? Work, home, bed. Okay, this is the state machine which belongs to the each and every human being here. Okay, this machine, what are the state machine that you are seeing here, belongs to each and every human being. Why I'm saying each and every human being? Because every day we will wake up from bed, and from home we will take train or bus or car or whatever it is, and then we will go to work. Again we will come back to home, and then we'll go to bed. Can you say this? Can you say this? This cycle is always in the same fashion. So it has the initial and final state. What is the initial state? I can say it is a bed. From bed you are catching, from bed you are in the home itself, from home you are catching the train, and then you are going to the work, and again you are taking the train, and then again you are going to bed. This cycle is repetitive. Okay, this cycle is repetitive, and this will be continuously running. And you can see a similar state machine for the game. Okay, I think, yeah, I saw that here. Okay, you can see this is a game. Whenever you are playing a game on your mobile or a video game, what are the possible states? One state can be game over. Okay, second one, game is running, game is paused. Okay, and what can be the transitions? At the initial level, the initial state, you will click on the start button, it will start the game. After starting the game will go to game running. The state is now game running. From game running, there are two possibilities. What are those two possibilities? One is the game can go to end state when the game is over, or you can pause the game and then you can again replay the game. Okay, so you can see here, from game over If you click on the start button, it will go to game running state. If the player dies, game will over. If the player clicks on pause button, game will be paused. Player clicks the resume button, game will be running. So how many states are there? Game over, game running, game paused. These are the 3 states. How many transitions are there? Player clicks start button, player dies, player clicks pause button, player clicks resume. 4 transitions. Okay, the initial state can be game over. Okay, and again it should come to the same state again once the game is over. Okay, so this is how the state machine is organized. Okay, and coming to Dynamics 365, we have only finite state machine. There is no infinite state machine. Okay, so I don't want to go with the cyclic thing, and I don't want to concentrate on it now. Coming to the state machine. So what is a state machine and what does the state machine contain? A state machine, or I want to call it as a finite state machine. Finite state machine is a abstract machine which can be in any one of the state. Okay, let's say it can have 10, 20, 30, any number of possible states, but it can be in any one of the possible state. Okay, any one of the possible states. So what are the characteristics? What are the characteristics of a state machine? See here, any state machine, as we have seen, okay, as we have seen the examples, from the examples, what can we say? A state machine can have a set of states, it can have a initial state, and then it can have set of transitions, okay, set of transitions, and using each transition, depending upon the condition, it will change its state. Okay, it can change its state, and then it will have a final state, and the state machine can also have, before this final state, okay, this transition can also take it into optional sub states. Okay, it can also take into optional substates, and then it will go to the final state. This is how the state machine is organized. Okay, this is how the state machine is organized. Okay, now coming to dynamics AX, again you will get a doubt. So how can, these all are the generic examples. So what about the dynamics AX, dynamics 365? How can we define this state machine? Okay, so I want to just show you one image. Okay, now I want you to tell me what are the possible states and what are the possible transitions. How many states are there in the state machine?
Seven.
Okay, 7 states. And now you can see the state machine is going in 2 different ways. One is for non-inventory items and the second one is for inventory items. So how many transitions are there for inventory items? I would like to know how many states, how many transitions. And the second one is non-inventory or service items. See here, whenever you work in a store, okay, there will be 2 different types of items that you will buy. One is inventory and the second one is service. So what are service items? Let's say for example you are going for a tea. Let's say for example you are going for a lunch. Okay, so all those are non-inventory items. What are inventory items? Mobile phone, you can say mobile phone, or you are purchasing something else from a store. All those are the inventory items. Okay, now how many states are there when it is inventory items? How many states are there?
6.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. 6. What about transitions? How many transitions are there?
5.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 transitions. Good. What about service items?
4.
Okay, 4 states. And what about transitions?
3.
This is how you need to identify. So whenever you have a requirement, okay, for example, coming to the state machine, okay, this state machine belongs to the warehouse management process. Okay, in warehouse management process, okay, let's say for example, the user has created a new order by clicking on the new button. Okay, so what user has done, he created a new order and then he clicked on the complete order button, then the order is ready. So once the order is ready, there are two possibilities. Possibility number one, the item can be a service item. Possibility number two, the item can be a inventory item. If it is inventory item, what we will do, we will go to the warehouse, and in the warehouse we will check if the item is available, and then if the item is available, we are going to pick the item and then pack the item. Okay, the order has been packed, and then we are going to ship the item. The order has been shipped, it is in shipped state, and then we are going to invoice the order. It will go to the invoiced state. And let's say if it is a non-inventory item, he will click on the new button to create a order. So the order is completed, it is ready. As it is a non-inventory item, he will set the bill and then he will complete the order and invoice the order. This is how the warehouse management process will work. Okay, this is about warehouse management. So whenever you have a requirement, okay, so where exactly we will use the state machine? The state machines are generally used with workflows. Whenever you have a requirement of the workflow, okay, for example, it might be either a employee expense workflow, or it might be either anything else, the sales approval workflow, or purchase approval workflow, or whatever it is. The first thing you need to think is about number of possible states, number of transitions, and then number of possible states, number of transitions, and then what would be the final state. Okay, now let's take one example. Okay, I will take one example and I will explain you in detail. In the meantime, I would like to see whether the build is finished. Yeah, it's finished. Now just a second, let me open this customers table because I need to create some data. Let me open the table browser and then sales table. Good. It is asking for me to sign in. Why? I don't know why. Okay. Okay. Let me open the sales table and let me open the sales line. Okay. Let it open the tables. So what we will do is we will see one of the example by creating a table for employees. Okay. I will call it as employee expense as the table name, and we will use this. Okay. We will create fields and then we will check. I will not create EDTs and everything. Yeah, it will take very long time. Or let me create. Let's do that. Let's follow some best practices. Okay. Okay, it's taking some time to load. Yeah, it's loaded. Good. Actually, I plan to see the fields, but it's loading. Good. Let it load. Okay, now you can see the customers. We have 3 customers here. In the sales table, I have one record as 1002. I have 1002 here. That's good. Now sales line, I don't have anything. Let me create a new record. Let me say some 1000. Quantity, I will say 5. Sales ID, I will say there is only one sales ID. So let me take it as 1002. And let me click on the new button. It's 500. Quantity is 4. Let me take the same one. Okay. Now I have some records here. Save this. Now I'm going to sales table. Between sales table and sales line, we have cascade restricted. Is that right? Between sales table and sales line, we should have cascade restricted. Let me check. Go to open. Properties. Relations. Sales table. Cascade restricted. So what it should do? It should restrict the deletion if I delete from sales table. Select. Delete. Okay. It has restricted the deletion. Whereas coming to the customers, sorry. Whereas coming to the customers and sales table, we have cascade deletion. Is that right? If I go to customer, I have cascade. Now, if I delete the customer, it should delete the record from sales table and then sales line. Let's see. 1002, delete. Yes, the record got deleted from customers. Now, if I refresh, record gone? No. Oh, customer ID is 1003. We have deleted 1002. Sorry, I need to delete this record. Okay, sales table, refresh, gone. Sales line, refresh, gone. This is how the cascade restricted delete action will work. Please remember, when you are working with cascade restricted, you will have at least 3 tables. Okay, you will have at least 3 tables. Okay, done. Now, let's come back to the state machine. I want to create a table, first of all, called AMA employee expense. Okay, and for this employee expense, so what are the fields that the possible fields? The first one can be employee ID, or in Dynamics AX we'll call it as personal number. Okay, I want to take the existing here. Let's see how to get the data from existing table. Okay, I'm taking employee ID and I'll call it as personal number. And then we can have a field called expense type. And what are the possible values for this expense type? It can be none. You can claim the expense for travel. You can claim the expense for food. You can claim the expense for medical. You can claim the expense for certification. You can claim the expense for foreign charges or whatever it is. Okay, there will be a lot of things. We will end here. Okay, and then the next one can be expense status. Okay, the first one is again none. My manager is very good person, so first of all I will submit. Okay, and the next one can be, or let me do one thing. Initially the expense status will be in not submit. Okay, you have created the expense, you have added all the amount, then you will submit the expense. My manager is very good, so he will immediately approve my expense. No, he is okay. Then what he will do? He will say you are claiming more amount, so raise a change request and create it for less amount. He is bad. He will reject. Okay, and we don't like whatever the change request he raised. We will cancel. Okay, so these are the possible states that we can have for a expense. Okay, so you can see expense status will be the state here. The state will be either not submit. From not submit it will go to submit. From submit it can either go to approve, change request, reject, or cancel. Okay, like this we are going to define the states here. Like this we are going to define the states. The status will indicate the states here. Whenever you are working with a state machine, the first thing that you need is enum. Okay, you need to select the enumerated data type, and the last one is amount. Now let me get back to the dynamic 6 and let me create a table. Click on the add button, new item, and I will create a table called AMA employee expense. Okay, and in this I told you that the first field I'm going to use is the personal number. So if you want to get the personal number, you need to get the information from any one of the table, the standard table from Dynamics 6. Okay, what table we can use? If you go to the front end, we have a one specific module dedicated for human resource. Okay, so we can use the personal number from that module. Okay, now you might ask me, how will you identify that? If you go here, you can see human resource. Can you see this? Human resources? Yeah. Here you can see personal management. I want to go to workers and then employees, workers. I have them. Okay, and I have the workers here. Now you can see this is the worker. Each and every worker has personal number. If you want to identify the table, right click. Oh, personalize. You should get personalized. 1 second. Form information, HCM worker. Okay, you can see HCM worker is the form. The table is also the HCM worker. Okay. Now what I will do is I will create one extended data type. Click on the add button, new item, and then here instead of I can add directly, but I don't want to do that. Instead of that, I will create a new EDT string. I will call this as, or before this, let me check. Okay. You might ask me why you are checking, because I want to check what is the type. Okay. Classic view, data model, tables. HCM worker. All right, this is the table name. And we need to include the personal core model if you want to use this table. In this, if I go to fields, I have the personal number. And then let me go to properties. To check the type of the field, the type of the field is HCM personal number ID, and it is string. If you want to create a relation using the personal number, you need to use HCM personal number ID. If you want to create a foreign key relation using the int64, you can do that. Okay, that's up to you again. However you want to do that, you can do that. Okay, click on the new button, and then I am taking a string, or the I'm just thinking whether to take a string or this one. I'm just thinking here. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's create a foreign key relation. We can directly get it from EDT. Okay, let me create a int64 EDT. Add button, new item, and I will go to the extended data type. Data types, I will create EDT integer 64. Okay, I will call this as AMA HCM worker. Okay, rec ID or something if you want to call, you can call it as okay HCM worker. That will be enough. Add and go to properties, and you can select the reference table. Okay, you can call it as HCM worker. Okay, good. We don't have it. HCM worker, because we did not refer the model, which is why we did not get it. Now table references, new table reference, related field. Okay, it's not showing anything. I will say record. Okay, done. Save. And this is my employee expense table. Let me add the model and let me get back. Update model parameters, and I need to select Amazon. Next. It's personal core. Let me select personal core. Click on the next button. Finish. Done. And now let's go with creating the enums. Anyways, we have the amount, so I will go with creating the enums. Okay. Now let me create the enum. Click on the add button, new item, and then select the base enum. Let's call this as Amazon expense statuses. As I told you, we need to take plural for enumerated data type. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I took the EDT. 1 second.
Hello, Kumar. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last time while creating the foreign key relation, you said we have two options. And the first option was like you said, creating related to rec ID something. And the second way was we just creating in 64 EDT and then
Yeah.
reference to and
Yes.
So what was the first method
In the EDT,
related
you
to
need
rec
to
ID?
add the reference table, and then you need to add the table references. That is the first method. Okay. And the second method would be you can create a normal relation by using any string field or whatever it is. Okay. And this one I will call it as not submit. And this one I will call it as not submit. And then I will call this one as submit. Submit. And then this one I will call it as cancel. Okay. And what else is are there? Click on the new element. We can call this reject. Reject. And approve. And approve. This will be change request. Hey, don't tell me that you have created in a different sequence. I have created as I to remember. Okay. Change request. Okay. Done. Now we are done with creating. Let me check. Is there anything else? None. Not submit. Submit. Approve. Change request. Reject. Cancel. Yeah. Done. Okay. Now the next one is expense type. Click on the add button, new item, and base enum. You can call this as AMA expense type. Okay. New element. First one will be always none. Foot. And the next one can be, what else are the values? Travel. And the next one can be certification. And the next one can be medical. Okay. This one will be medical. Done. These are the expenses that we can have. Okay. Now the next step is I have created one entity for expense status. Now if you want to use this, you can add the property enum type, and you can use AMA expense statuses here. And similarly, you can create a enum entity for this one as well if you want. Okay. But I'm not creating. I want to go to AMA employee expense, and I want to take expense type, and I want to take expense status. Okay, we have created EDT, so I will take EDT. And I want to take, what is the third one? AMA HCM worker. Okay. Next, what else? Amount. I need to take one real field, and I will take this amount here. Now let me change the properties of each of them. Okay, this is how it works. Now, if you want to create a state machine, okay, what is the first step? I will create one more group here. Let me create it. I will call it as overview. And currently, you can't define any unique index for this. Please remember that, okay? Because I am using all the different fields and there will be no unique index in this table. If you want to create a unique index, then you need to create one more field and you need to call expense ID, and then you need to use it for unique index, okay? So I am not going with any indexes now. Relations, I got the relation with HCM worker. It's well and good. You can see AMA employee expense dot HCM worker equal to HCM worker dot rec ID. Done. Next, state machine. Now, the first step, right click on the new state machine. You can call it as employee expense state machine, okay? And you can give some good label. I am giving employee expense. That's it. And then we have a data field. In the data field, you can see you will have only enum types. I am taking expense status. Now, if I right click here, you can see you have a generate button, you have a new state button, and delete, rename, all the other are same. Okay. I will explain you about this generate later on, because the generate is used to generate the state machine classes. Whenever a state is changed now, it will automatically trigger the state machine classes. If you want to generate those state machine classes automatically, then you will use the generate. Now click on the new state, and this is by default. You can see there is a something called state kind. The state kind can be initial, final, intermediate. Okay. The first state always I will define as the initial state, and the enum value I will select. The first state will be always not submit. Okay. The first state will be always not submit. Let me define a new state. From not submit, where can it go? It can go to the submit. Okay. Most probably no one will cancel after from not submit to cancel. 99% of the times it will go to submit, so I'm not taking the cancel now. Okay. And this submit will be intermediate state. Okay, because this cannot be the initial state, this will be intermediate state. So from not submit, you can create a new transition, new state transition. Okay, transition to state, I will say from here it should go to submit. I will say from here it should go to submit. Okay, done. Now from there is submit. From submit, what are the possible states? It can be either approve, or it can be either change request, or it can be either reject, or it can be either cancel. Okay, so now I want to add one more because I don't have the final state. All these are the intermediate states. Okay, after approve you cannot cancel, so I want to add one more enum. Okay, I want to add one more element, and I want to call this as completed. Otherwise I will not have any final state. Okay, save. Now you can see expense status. Where is this one? Employee expense, and let me create a new state, and I can call this state as completed. Good, done. Okay, now after submitting, it can transition to approve. This is the best case scenario. Okay, it can go to approve. This is the best case scenario. Now from submit, it can also go to change request. This is not best case scenario, but we can hope as the amount is more. Or there is a possibility of this can also go to it has approved or change request reject if the manager is a bad guy. Okay, or manager has received the change request, but you're a bad guy, so you will cancel. Okay, next from approve, there can be only one transition that would be completed. Okay, there can be only one possible transition which is completed. From change request, it can go to again submit. Okay, from change request, in turn the user should submit again, so it can go to submit. This is one possibility, or it can go to cancel. Okay, if you are a bad guy, I told you you will cancel, so it can cancel. Okay, and from reject, there is only one possible state, it is completed. Done. And from cancel, there is only one transition which is completed. Okay, completed. And from completed, this is a final state. You need to set this to final. Save. Done. This is how we are going to create the state machine. Now let me do a rebuild and then let's generate the classes. Okay, let me do a rebuild. I want to see whether it is working or not.
In between, we also mentioned something related to complete, like inside the approve and all this thing.
Hmm.
But we didn't change the, what was that? Intermediate, initial, or completed option in the property.
Because not submit is the initial state, completed is the final state, submit, approve, change request, reject, cancel are the intermediate states. Okay, so by default it will use intermediate only, which is why I did not change it. Okay, whereas for completed and not submit, it was intermediate, so I change it to initial and then final. Okay,
Okay. So it doesn't have any impact on the complete or intermediate between the state. In between the
between state will be always intermediate, because you can't make the approve initial state. Can you make approve
Yeah.
initial state? No.
No.
So there will
I
be no
mean to
impact.
say, inside approve, if we define complete, then we should not need to define that as a complete state property.
Yeah. Yes.
Kumar, sorry, are you speaking something because I'm not able to hear you?
Sorry, I was on mute, it seems. Okay, let me save. Okay, I was on mute. Okay. Okay, now see here, what the state machine does is, it is going to create a set of classes for us. You can see we have the classes, and all these classes are created when we click on the generate button. When we click on the generate button. So what does this generate button does is, it has created 4 classes. In this, we have the state machine class, the enter event arcs, and the exit event arcs. All these are the, I can say these are nothing but the event handlers. Now you can see this is the state machine event arcs. Okay, employee expense state machine event arcs. It has got 2 states. One is enter state and the exit state, which is the initial and the final state. And if you want to enter the initial state, it will call the enter state. If you, it should exit from the state, it will call the exit state. Okay, this is the final state of the transition. Okay, next, now similarly you have the exit event arcs. Okay, and here as well you will see the same thing. Here there will be no different, no other change. Okay, you can see AMA employee expense data entity, and here it is returning the data entity and it is returning the state. Okay, it is returning the state. Similarly you will have the enter event arcs, which is for entry point, and then you will have the state machine where you will find more amount of details, because here what it should do, it should know the transition. Okay, it should know the transition, and you can see it is storing the states of labels, the states of indexes, and then indexes of states. Indexes of state means it is not going to create any SQL index. It is the number for each and every state. It is going to identify it by using a number, the enum. Okay, so for that he called it as indexes of states. Okay, and you can see this is the biggest class, and few of the times the people will, or the developers would like to modify the state machine when it enters, when it exits, and when there is a transition. Then what we will do is, we will use the delegate. Okay, we will use the delegate. For a delegate we will have a subscription. We will use the subscription method. When it has entered, what we need to do, what we need to update. When there is a exit, what we need to do, if we need to execute any business logic during the transition or enter or exit, we can do that by using this delegate subscription. And once the state is triggered, it will come to the main method. It will come to the main method, and then it will get the state, and then it will update the state. It will get the state, it will update the state. Okay, this is the main method created for the state machine, which would be the entry point, which is the entry point. Okay, I don't want to go with this description. It's not need to discuss on it, because it's just a label. If you want to define any label for the description, you can do that. Okay, and then you have the initial state, and it is checking for each and every state whether it is final state or not, which is why you have is final state. Okay, this final states is again, what is the type of it? The final states set. In the set, it is trying to find whether this state is exist or not, and whether it is a final state or not. Okay, and then it is checking whether it is a state or transition. So which is why it is used is state, and then it is checking whether it is a valid transition or not. Okay, because you have created the state machine classes and then later you have modified the transition. What will happen? You have forgot generating the classes. Then the state machine will not know the new transition you have created. Your code doesn't know that. So what it will do? It should simply throw the error. To do that, it will check whether it is a valid transition or not. If it is a valid transition, then it is fine. Otherwise, it will throw the error. Okay. This is how the methods are defined. For each and every state, it will get the label ID, it will get the state name. You can see each and everything, transition label ID, transition description label ID. For each and everything, it will define one method here. Okay, and what does this methods do is, they are used. This is the core class. Okay, in the generated classes, this is the core class. For each and every method, what it does is, It will check whether it is a valid state, whether it is a valid transition, whether it can move from one transition to using the transition, whether it can move to another state or not. All those things will be defined in these classes. Okay, this is how we will have the state machine. You can see it is building the labels, it is building the enumerated data type, it will build each and everything for you. Okay, these are generated automatically when you click on the generate button. Okay, this is about state machine. When you do a transition, and if you add a breakpoint, and if you create a subscription, this will get automatically triggered. Okay, but what I can say is the state machines are suitable when you don't need any complex business logic in your piece of code. Okay, just you have the smooth transitions. If you have the smooth transitions, let's say between the transition, okay, let me tell you, you have a transition here between two transitions. If you want to write some complex business logic, then this will not be useful. Whatever you need to do is you need to go with the traditional approach, which is why we have the traditional approach of workflow still exist. Okay, now let's say you have a change request. From change request to submit, what you want to do is you want to check some validation. You want to add some validation, like you want to forward this to the next level, and then you want to get some approvals. You want to do all the stuff. Okay, at that point you need to write some business logic, and you need to customize the standard piece. In that case, now what will happen is this kind of state machines, if you want to design, that will make more complex, and because this is a event handler thing. Okay, so what we will do is we will move to the traditional approach of the workflow. Okay, so if it is a straightforward, then you can go ahead and create a state machine and you can work with it. Okay, this is how the state machines will be created. Okay, now in this table already we have the data. I want to just check whether, because this table again will come back when we are discussing the workflows. Currently just I want to check whether okay, it has a lookup. It's fine. Okay, we got the details of the employees done. Okay, so this is all about the state machines here. Okay, and we will see how to create a full-fledged workflow for this employee expense in the workflow chapter. Okay, it will take some time. Yeah, now let's move to the next topic. Sorry, not here. We have seen what is a state machine. Now you know what are the states, transitions, everything. See here, the next one is mappings. Okay, so mappings are very rarely used. Okay, mappings are very rarely used. If I go to the application explorer, one second, and if I set this to classic view, and if I go to data model, you can see this maps. Okay, you can't create a map using a single table. Even if you define a map using a single table, it is not worth. Okay, you can see there will be maximum of 100 or 150 maps, not more than that. Okay, now when and why we will use these maps, I want to know from you people, because few of the people might know AX 2012. So I want to know from you people, did you ever work with a map in AX 2012? Did you ever work with maps in AX 2012? I'm not asking about the maps class. I'm asking about AOT maps. Hey, please speak out here. I'm waiting for your response. If you know, simply say I know. If you don't know, you can say I don't know.
No idea.
Okay, okay. Because I told you, 90% of the times no one will use maps. Okay, it's very rare case. Okay, so what is a map? See here, let's say you have two tables. Let's say you have at least two tables, and in the two tables you have fields with similar names, or I can say there is the same field exists in the two tables. For example, let me take two tables, a cust table, open designer, and let me take another table called vendor table. Let me open the designer. If I expand the fields, can you see this account number? If I go to the cust table and if I expand the fields, can you see this account number? I have the same field exist in both the tables. Okay, I have the same field exist in both the table. And what my requirement is, I want to have these two tables as a one object, and I want to get these two fields in a different fashion. In a different fashion. If I say cust, I need to get the customer account number. And then if I use vend, I need to get the vend account number. Okay, two tables, single entity. In the two tables, we have the same field. I want to link or associate this field in such a way that I need to retrieve as and when needed. Okay, because if I have these two tables as a one entity, obviously if you use account number, then what will happen? There's a possibility that you can get the same field each time. Okay, either from cust table or vend table, but you don't want that part. You don't want to do in that fashion. Then we will go with maps. Okay, you might ask me, did you get any time of this kind of requirement? I never got this requirement here. I never got requirement with these maps, but I learned this only while teaching. Okay, I learned this only while teaching. Okay, so if this is the kind of requirement, then we will go ahead and we will create a map. Again, if you ask me creating a mapping, create a map, is it easy or difficult? I will simply say creating a map is nothing but you are creating an object. Whatever you are doing is you are creating a object type. Okay, for example, if I open any of the table, you can see by default all the table is derived from common. So if I use this common, what I can do? If I use this common can be AMA address. Using this common, I can access AMA customers. Using this common, I can access AMA employee expense. Using this common, I can access AMA sales table. Like this, using this common, I can access any table. I can access cust table, vend table. I can access any table by using this common. Is that right? Similarly, if I create a map, and then if I attach a set of tables, okay, if I attach a set of tables, then obviously what I can do? If I attach a set of tables, I can get the data of all those tables. Okay, how to create a map? Right click on the add button, new item, and then in the data model, you have a map. You can call it as AMA cust vend map. Click on the add button. That's it. It will create a map for us. Okay, it has created a map for us. Now you can see in this map, I have only fields here. Okay, what do I have? I have only fields here. In the field, I will create a new string field. I will go to properties and I will call this field as account num. Done. Now you can see the mappings here. In these mappings, create a new mapping, and here it is asking for the map from where you want to map this. Okay, 1 second. Because this cust table and vend table belong to application suite, so I need to refer application suite here. Click on the next button, finish. Because what will happen is in few scenarios, you want to have the fields from multiple tables in your select statement. Okay, fields from multiple tables you want to get at the same time. Okay, at that point we will use maps, but that is very irregular. Okay, generally we will use joins and we will get them. Okay, and I will create one more mapping. I will call this as vendor table. Save. Okay, let me do a rebuild.
Kumar, we define
Yep.
a string type field here. So why didn't we make a enum for that one? Or
Why?
EDT,
What is the?
sorry.
I told you, if I need to follow all the best practices now, it is going to take long time. Okay, so few of
Okay,
the
no
times I
issue.
will simply
Got
wait
it.
this. Okay,
Got it.
please understand,
Sometime we'll
because
we'll
if
get
I define
confused. Why
the
didn't we?
EDT label every time, na, I think it will
Okay,
take years together for this course. Okay.
got you.
Okay.
No issues.
This is about a map. So whatever we will do is to test this map, we need to write a piece of code. So currently we don't know how to write it. So I will explain you how to go with the code starting from tomorrow, and then we will see the events, event handlers, and then we'll come back to the map again. I will show you the code, and I will show you how to work with the account number in the cache table and then vent table, how to get them separately using the single map. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's it for today. Please let me know if you have any queries. If there are no queries, I will end session for everyone.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you all for the session. Let's meet again on Monday. Okay. Please remember, the session will continue from Monday towards Saturday. So please join. Okay. Thank you all. Bye.